Hey E36 Fanatics, Steven here. Today I want to talk to you about BMW E36s as a daily driver. So the BMW E36 was produced from 1992 to 1999 in the United States. And what that means is, since it's now 2020, these cars are fast approaching 30 years old. I mean, they're approaching classic car age. So it really brings up the issue, are these cars really still realistically good daily drivers? And if so, like, what makes them a good daily driver in the first place? So my response to that is hell yes, they're good daily drivers if you take care of them correctly and they're maintained right. And here are some reasons why I say that they are good daily drivers. So if you've seen my YouTube channel before, seen any of my videos, you know that I've been daily driving a BMW E36 since I was like 16. I'm 24 now, so it's been a while. I've had two different dailies, and those are literally the only cars I ever drove. Before, up until recently, we had three different E36s that different members of my family were using as a daily driver. Now we're down to this puppy right here, but up until very recently we had three. So what made them such good daily drivers for us? Well, first was the fact that these vehicles are bulletproof. They're absolutely bulletproof in terms of their drivetrain, their transmission, their engine, their differential. We've never had a single issue with any of those components on our cars. Now, we have always taken relatively good maintenance of these vehicles in terms of changing your fluids, your differential fluids, changing the oil on time, changing the transmission fluid. Even though BMW for some reason says that it's a lifetime fluid, yeah, that's not true. But the drivetrains they're never going to leave you stranded on the side of the road because your engine blew up or your transmission blew up and you're going to have a couple $1,000 bill. You're just not going to have that issue if you take care of it. Another reason these cars make great daily drivers is they're just absolutely gorgeous vehicles. They call them like dolphin-shaped cars, the E36 series, but in my opinion, they're by far one of the most beautiful 3 Series BMWs that BMW has produced. I really like the E32. I like that boxy style, but the E36 makes a gorgeous car, and the E30 is getting a little too old for a daily driver. But so they're very attractive cars when you got them painted up, looking nice. They look gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Another reason why they make pretty good daily drivers is that they're not bad on gas mileage. Now, they were really good on gas mileage back when these cars were produced in the 1990s. But nowadays, you got smart cars, you got hybrid cars, even traditional gas vehicles use a lot less gas per mile than they used to. So they're not as good as they used to be. I would say that the 318s are still relatively really good gas consumption vehicles, but once you get up to like the 328i or the M3, it's not the best. But then again, gas is so cheap right now, it's not that gas might not be as big of a deal for you. Okay, another reason why these cars make pretty good daily drivers, and probably my favorite reason out of these, is that they are absolutely amazing cars to drive around the city. Their handling is awesome. When you have some good quality suspension components and your shocks and struts aren't worn, these cars are an absolute joy to drive around the city. I've driven my father's he's got a big E430 Mercedes-Benz, drive that around the city as much. It's nice, but it certainly doesn't handle like a 3 Series BMW. And that's one of the things I really love about those cars. When you're on the highway, when you're in the city, you just dart in and out of traffic as you're moving along because these cars are extremely zippy. So that's one of the things I really like about those as a daily driver, is that they're enjoyable to drive, and you get around a little bit quicker in the city. So I'm not going to go too much into the question of BMW reliability because I can go on and on about different aspects of the BMW, whether it's reliable or unreliable or not. Plus, if you haven't checked it out yet, I have a really in-depth video on whether BMWs are reliable or not. The link's going to be in the card right above, so you can check that out. But overall, E36s, as far as BMWs go, they're extremely reliable vehicles. Finally, the last thing that anybody really wants to consider about a daily driver is practicality. Like, how practical is a 3 Series to drive daily to work, to wherever, whatever you got to do? I would say, depending on your situation, it's a pretty good car to have as a daily driver. Now, if you're a family person, you got like 3 kids running around, and you got to pack that thing with 5 people every day, then I'd tell you don't get a 3 Series as a daily driver. It ain't gonna work unless you want to strap somebody onto the roof or something like that. But besides that, 3 Series probably ain't right for you. Maybe a van or an SUV or something. But if you're a single person or just 1 or 2 people using that vehicle every day, I would say it makes a great option from a practicality standpoint. And I wanted to throw out a tip. If you plan on driving a BMW E36 as a daily driver, you're planning on buying one maybe, and this has just come from my experience with owning these vehicles. Like I mentioned before, these cars are getting older, so it becomes a much bigger deal when you're dealing with a car that has 20 years of age on it and maybe 80, 100,000 miles on it. It becomes a really big deal on how well it has been maintained over the years. If somebody maintained it like crap, I remember checking out a BMW E36 when I was flipping these things. I went out to Greensboro to go check out one, and when I started test driving it, it ran really, really rough. So one of the questions I sometimes like asking people with E36s is like, what kind of gas do you put in it? And the guy told me he put in 87 regularly. And after that, I was like, nah, because if you're putting 87 in your E36, you're probably not taking care of it in various other aspects. So I just skipped over that car. So just something important to remember, if you're looking at an E36 with a little bit higher mileage, make sure you got all the information about the car, because although, like I mentioned before, these cars can be pretty good dailies. If you've got one that's been taken care of like crap, it's going to be a nightmare to own. So those are the different things that I consider when thinking about a daily driver: practicality, gas mileage, handling, and then like how reliable are these cars actually. And that's something I think most people would consider, and I think E36s pass it with flying colors, pretty much all of them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.